Welcome back to the 5-Minute Gardener. I'm Shannon. Today we're going to talk about planning the garden. After you've gotten the inspiration for your garden, it's a good idea to make a plan ahead of time. This is going to save you time, effort, and money. You want to consider what type of garden you hope to have. Are you going to be growing vegetables, flowers for bouquets, or maybe just adding some green foliage to your yard? This year I've chosen to grow vegetables and flowers in my garden. The main thing to consider is how much space you have to use. What you will have to decide is whether you're going to plant in containers or plant directly into the ground. If you have a deck or a balcony, containers may be your only option. In that case, using hanging baskets or stacking containers can make the most of the space that you do have. I like to plant my garden in containers because I can add or remove containers every year depending on how much I want to grow. Also, my smaller pots, the ones that I like to put flowers in, I can move those around my yard, put them at the front of my house, and just change the look up a little bit. If you're going to be planting directly into the ground, you're going to have to determine what type of soil you have. Winnipeg soil often has a very high clay content, which makes the ground very hard and compact, which is often not suitable for growing in. What you can do then is amend the soil, add different nutrients into it to help your plants grow better. We'll talk more about amending your soil once we get out to the garden to start preparing it. You're going to have to determine how much sunlight your yard gets. If you're growing fruits or vegetables, a lot of light is needed. It's recommended that vegetables get a minimum of 6 hours of direct sunlight a day. The benefit of growing vegetables in containers is that you can just place the container in the sunniest part of your yard. If all you want to grow are greenery and flowers, you don't have to worry about getting as much light. There are a wide variety of plants for all growing conditions. If you choose the right flowers and plants, you can have color and interest in even the shadiest parts of your yard. Time is another consideration when planning your garden. How much time and effort you have to invest will determine how much and what you are able to plant. The initial planting may be the largest block of time, but you also have to consider how much time you are able to invest on a daily basis for things such as weeding and watering. Watering can take up a considerable amount of time and may have to be done every day, especially if you're planting in containers. The soil in containers can dry out a lot faster than the soil in the ground. When it comes to planting flowers, there are a lot of drought-resistant varieties, and you may choose to plant some of these to cut back on your watering needs. How much money you want to spend is something that you should decide ahead of time. Otherwise, it's very easy to get carried away the first time you go to the greenhouse. You're liable to leave the greenhouse with a bunch of fun and exciting items, but forget the most basic items that you need. So it is a good idea to write down a list ahead of time. When you go to the greenhouse, purchase the most important items first, and then see how much money you have left over to play with. Animals in your garden can cause a lot of damage, whether it's a wild animal, such as a deer or a rabbit, or a domesticated animal, such as your pets or maybe even a neighbor's pets. It is easier to discourage an animal from entering your yard and your garden than it is to deal with the damage after it's already been done. So you may want to consider ahead of time putting up a fence or some other type of physical deterrent. We will talk about different types of deterrents in a future episode. When you're planning your garden and throughout the growing season, it's a good idea to keep a gardening journal. Keeping a journal is a good way to keep track of what has and hasn't worked for you, and it's a good reference to have to look back on in future years. The days are getting longer and the snow is almost gone. Taking this time now to make a plan for your garden will really pay off once we're able to get outside and start planting. Thanks for joining me on the 5-Minute Gardener, and see you next time.